What's up, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with Tesla SPY in the overall market and talk about some new developments in the charts, which you should be watching for as we have some big data coming out. Not to mention some key levels that the market's going to be testing. But just note that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button. It not only benefits me, it benefits the entire Tesla community as a whole. Anyways, as far as Tesla goes, I'm just going to be very honest. We are technically downtrending on Tesla. We had this high as 228. We came down and we're making lower highs. And Tesla's continuing to fall. Now, the question that's now going to remain is, can Tesla hold this structure? We got to get back above 210 and also 212 to really start pushing upwards. If we don't get back above at least 212, Tesla could consolidate. And if we end up losing 208, around that 208 area, I do see a risk of Tesla dipping even lower. And we could see a big move down since imbalance towards that 202 area. So for now, Tesla is showing some weakness. We're not doing the best of jobs at holding up. And there's going to be a risk of more downside for the time being. Now, looking at the news, there's some news coming out that about an $18 million supercharger station is coming to New York City. That's some very, very interesting news as this is getting a lot more exposure, a lot more attention right now. Once again, this is going to be very interesting, at least for the city as a whole. I think that just goes to show how charging infrastructure is continuing to grow and it's becoming more and more in demand. So it's something that's worth noting, at least for Tesla, as the plans are coming out. Now, for today, as a reminder, as you guys know, we have Nvidia's earnings after the market closes. That's going to be huge for the markets. So whatever moves the market makes, even during the open hours, doesn't matter as much for today. What matters more is going to be the after close. That's going to cause more volatility. Also notes that today is Wednesday, August 28th, 2024. It's not really much data coming out. It's all very, very minor. We have some crude data coming out later, all very minor once again. But at 11:30 a.m., we have the 17-week bill auction, followed by another couple amounts of these note auctions. So it's all very, very minor. And once again, we're still waiting for some very, very big catalysts. We're seeing this all over the headlines right now. As Nvidia's earnings is coming out, we'll be watching to see what their guidance looks like, not to mention their growth potential. So I just want to mention that at least to everyone thus far, that's what we're seeing, at least on the news. So what do I see for Tesla? We're just trading in this range. So as you guys can see, we have this resistance zone around this 210 area. And we have this key support at 208. If we lose 208, we'll be looking for a dip to 205, then 202. If we break past 210, we'll be looking for 212. Otherwise, we're just kind of range bound right now on Tesla. Now, the trend is more bearish. It is possible Tesla just continues to consolidate in this range. But I'll be watching to see if we can try to rebound just a bit, and then we'll see if it consolidates. But I still think that that's the most likely possibility. We will attempt to push to this resistance. We'll see if this breaks, but there's going to be a lot of consolidation for today, most likely. So look for a little bit of a push once we open, and then we'll see a lot of consolidation. But just as a reminder, don't worry too much about that because the real move will come after Nvidia's earnings. For SPY, in my personal opinion, we are trying to get bought back up right now. We're just range bound right now. We have this resistance at 562 and then 563. We have support at 560, not to mention 558. Looking at the fact that we're holding our 20 EMA, I think this is favoring a bit of a push, and we could be pushing for this imbalance towards 563 or higher. There's a good chance we try to continue to push from here. But in my personal opinion, I think there's a good chance that we continue this, uptrend. I think SPY will try to push a little bit with the market, and we could get closer to this high. We'll have to see if that breaks or not in anticipation of Nvidia's earnings. But we do look a little bit more bullish, at least technically speaking, as we're making higher lows. So it does favor upside. But once again, even though we are trying to push in terms of our direction, we're still in a much larger range. So SPY still, has a tendency to gain rejected around 563, and we tend to get bought back up around 558 and 555. So as we're in this range, we'll be watching the levels, but just know that we are looking like we might try to push once we open. So watch for that upside. Nvidia is also trying to push a little bit right here. I might push for 130. We'll see if it breaks 130 to 132. If 132 breaks, we'll be looking for another push higher. There is potential in this chart. We have a nice accumulation structure, and we still have these imbalances to fill above. So we'll see if Nvidia gets a bounce. If we end up losing structure, we lose 122, look for a dip. But overall, this chart is favoring upside a little bit more. So I might try to push for 130. Then we'll see how earnings ends up affecting us. For Bitcoin, we've dipped quite a bit only to rebound. I did call this out yesterday. We're going to rebound to about 60,000. We could go a little higher to 60,500. We'll see what the reaction is from there. For ES, we're going to be approaching essentially the high we had at least from yesterday. So that's going to be likely around this 56,500 area. As long as we hold above 56.37, I do favor 56.50. So it has potential to push a little bit higher. NQ is trading kind of sideways, but there is a possible structure developing. If we lose 19,600, look for tip for 19,480. And if we manage to break above 19,700, look for a push. As of right now, we're consolidating on NQ, but there's some potential in this. So don't worry too much about it until we see which way we break. If we get above 19,700, look for a push. We'll be watching to see if that ends up being the case. Otherwise, we're just range bound. The QQQ is showing some life. If we hold above 475, we're going to be looking for a push for 480. And if we lose 475, we're going to be looking for a dip back down to 472. This chart is trying to break resistance, so it looks a little bit more bullish. Might see a little bit of a push, approaching earnings. Apple's looking a little bit more bullish. If we hold above 228, we're looking for 230. And if we lose 226, look for a dip. Overall, we're still holding up quite well. For a few more, like Supermicro, we're going to be looking to see if we can try to get close to about resistance at this 540 area. We'll see if we reject or not. It's still showing weakness. So it could pop a bit and start dipping lower. There is still some downside potential, but then there's going to be a big reaction after Nvidia's earnings. Lo and behold, guys, the IWM is at the 217 area. That's what I called out. I think we might get closer to either the 20 EMA at 217 or maybe even the 216 area where this trend line happens to be. And we'll see if we get a bounce off of that. And then we'll see also what happens with earnings for Nvidia. For Coinbase, I mentioned that this might try to rebound a little bit. That's what's happening so far. We're going to be looking for a test of 197. We may get very close to that, and we'll see what the reaction happens to be. For Amazon, we're just trading sideways in a range right now. We're looking at this 172 area as our support. If we lose that, there's going to be a bigger dump coming towards 170. And maybe this resistance at 174. If that breaks, we're going up to 175. We're just range bound right now, so give this some time to see which way we break. Break 174, we turn back up. Lose 172, we dip. We're stuck in the middle for now. For Meta, we had a bearish divergence developing. We have this 520 area as our resistance and support at 515. We're kind of stuck in the middle as well. We're waiting for a big reaction. We might be looking for a push upon open at 522. We may try to push a little bit above them. We'll see if we get a rejection or not. But it's just consolidating. Microsoft has more life. I think we could be pushing for about 416. We might be pushing for 415 to 416. And we'll see what the reaction is from there. And then for Google, we're just consolidating as well around 166. We have support at 165, resistance around 167, and then we're just in a range, so we're just going to likely range trade for the time being. So that being said, there's not much going on with the markets for now. Tesla is showing a little bit of weakness, unfortunately. But there may be an attempt to push once we open, maybe looking to see if Tesla could hold above 210 or not. My gut tells me it's going to pop a bit, then come down, just consolidate. But then the real move will come after Nvidia's earnings, so we'll be waiting for that. That's going to be when we see some more volatility. So I'll be back in a couple of hours to give you guys another update. But with that being said, I want to thank you all so much for listening. Please have a great day, and I'll see you guys very soon in just a couple of hours. Thanks again, and peace out.